good afternoon, good evening. This is James, and welcome to another episode of VTV, the podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us. Please like, subscribe, share. We have a very special guest on the podcast today, Miss Susie Calbort, who is the executive director of the Vicksburg Youth Development Center here in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Welcome to the show, Miss Susie.
Thank you.
We invite guests on our podcast to discuss all things Vicksburg, and we thought that it would be befitting to have you on as we approach the school year. I'll let you speak on your services that the center provides, but to us it made sense to have you on to speak about some of the upcoming activities and how your group can influence the youth in the area.
Okay.
So getting right into it, give us a little background about who Ms. Calbort is.
Okay. Well, I'm born and raised here in Vicksburg. I've worked in the community for this will be 24 years with youth and families. I graduated from Vicksburg High School, and my degrees are all from Jackson State University with a BS in psychology, a master's in counseling, and a PhD in public policy and administration with a concentration in program management. So I love our community. I'm excited about working in the community, and that kind of encompass some of the places that I've worked is the Vicksburg Child and Parent Center. I worked for a nonprofit for 12 years. I also worked for the District Attorney's Office, Ninth Circuit Court here in Warren County, and with the Warren County Youth Court before transferring over to the Youth Development Center.
Okay. So born and raised here, right?
Yes.
What school, what elementary and high school, middle school did you attend?
Let's think back. I went to House Fair Elementary School, loved House Fair, Vicksburg Middle School, Vicksburg Junior High, and Vicksburg High School.
So you a Gator at heart?
Yes, I'm a Gator at heart. Yes.
We might have a conflict because I'm a Viking. No, I'm just joking.
Friendly conflict.
Yeah, all good. What was the climate of the youth culture from your recollection when you were coming up in the city?
Basically from my memory of being a youth, of course we had friendships. The friends, my personal friends, we would find really good activities to get into. We were active in the school. A lot of our friends, myself and I, we were active in the community. I've always been a teen helper through Vicksburg High School. That was a program that they had in our school. Also, when I was on campus at Jackson State, I also was a campus helper. So, but the youth climate, I feel like oh goodness, y'all gonna edit this. I don't know. That's a difficult question to answer.
I know. I thought about,
because I don't want to say, look, we did things too,
right.
But
right.
but that's the truth.
It is.
We were from what I remember, typical teenagers with teenage behavior.
Right.
We had a lot of adults that we could entrust, and when things came up, we had people that we could talk to. As far as activities, we had Funtricity, so we had some things to do, the skating rink.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just had to find your own things to do that was positive. And then if there were things that we did that we need to be redirected, we had those caring adults that were in our lives that redirected us to bringing out the good in us. So from what I can remember.
Was lit back in the day.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I miss that because, the kids that we have in the community now, I think they would really enjoy it. And it was a hub for us to kind of, Funtricity, it was a hub. I can remember it was a hub for, a meeting space for me and my friends. But we need something similar to that in our community for these children. Because I think it deters them from going out and doing other things and other other spaces, being involved in something that they probably have no business being a part of. But yeah, it was a different climate. I don't quite know your age. I don't want you to say that on camera because you may be telling your age, but it was a different time for adolescents in our community. That's why I asked that question.
Because even from the age range of, my friends or people that grew up with me or in the time that I grew up, that is one of the pull points that we always talk about. We always will bring up, what do you do? What did you do? And funtricity will always lie in that memory, for most of us that were able to and did go there. So, and we've talked about it this week at one of the listening sessions Alderman Mayfield had at the Youth Development Center. That memory again was brought up about funtricity, and of course the skating rink as well. So we did have some places that we could go as youth.
I worked at funtricity.
Really?
So not only was it a place, a meeting space for the youth, there was employment opportunity there.
Yes.
So
wow. Okay.
you put those two together, and I think it presents a positive for the youth culture.
Right.
Kind of speeding forward, I know that you serve on a few different boards in the city. Is that correct?
I do.
Give me some insight into that, because I read that you were a part of the Middle School Coalition.
Yes. The Middle School Coalition is United Way Middle School Coalition. It was created about 2.5, maybe 3 years ago. And one of the things that we wanted to do was reach back to the middle school population, especially when we're talking about things as far as literacy, and helping them to develop, because that's that in-between age where you're coming from the elementary school and then you're about to elevate to the high school. So that's a tender age. And they need a lot of, they need us just as well as high schoolers who we're helping to graduate and get prepared for the workforce or their next step in their career, college, or wherever they decide to do. And the little ones, we're just excited. That's the fun age. And then that we have that middle school age, that's the group that I won't say is overlooked, but that I think they need that extra attention as well. So the Middle School Coalition was developed to reach back to that group. So we have all types of agencies that attend our Middle School Coalition meeting, and that's faith-based, community, youth-based organizations, individuals who have an interest in working with middle school population. So we meet quarterly, and we've met more often since, because we did work with the school district with Camp Discovery. And Camp Discovery was a sixth graders that were uprising 7th graders. So we had a 3-week camp during the summer to work with that group. We also, and I'll tell you more about Camp Discovery, but because it was just an awesome experience for us and for the kids and everyone in the community that contributed to Camp Discovery. But we also have a uniform drive for that age group because we want to, help with things that may influence them, to help them make sure that they're being all that they can be when they're going to school. Like if the uniforms, if you don't have uniforms, sometimes kids would, they may stay home, so that we can help prepare them with those things and to make them confident and, to make sure that they have their needs met when going to school. We try to help where we can. Is
that uniform drive through the Middle School Coalition, or is it YDC?
Yes, it's through the Middle School Coalition. The Middle School Coalition meets at the YDC quarterly, so we're all just one big group that's working together to help with these needs. But we started with a gently used uniform drive, and the school is out. Vicksburg One School District is just very always open to allowing us, when we have these ideas, to come in and help contribute as we can from the community. So we did a uniform drive with gently used uniform, recycled uniforms, and we washed, dried, folded, and delivered those uniforms back to the school. So parents and people from the community, when either they had kids who had outgrown uniforms or they were kids who were going to the high school and may not need, or junior high, and they didn't need those clothes due to sizes, or junior high kids who were going to the high school who would need uniforms at that point, they gave back to the school, and we did distribute those uniforms back to the schools where they were compiled from. We also received a donation from IP, and we were able to purchase some new uniforms. We contact the counselors at the schools to see, what sizes typically junior high age kids the need, and we distributed those uniforms back to those schools as well.
Okay. So that ties into the mission, the primary mission of YDC, being a resource for the youth.
Yes, absolutely.
All school ages.
Yes, and we're still helping with that need right now. We've had some families that call needing some uniforms. So if you all see our Amazon link online, we share it. If you could share it and keep posting it, because it's an ongoing list. It's been circulating since last year, and we have families that call throughout the year. Seasons change. You go from short sleeve to fall, summer, and then winter need long sleeve clothes and longer pants, and instead of short. So that list is ongoing.
How can they find that list? Where is it online?
We're about to establish our Youth Development Center social media page, but United Way of West Central Mississippi, they consistently share that information. So if you could like and follow their page, right now you can gain access to that flight.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Let's back up for a second, because I failed to mention that you wrote a book.
Oh, it was a children's handbook.
Yes, yeah. I meant to bring that up in the beginning, as a way to kind of give us a backdrop to who Ms. Calbort is.
Okay. Well, when I worked at the district attorney's office, I was one of the assistance coordinators at the DA's office. And when you're working as a victims assistance coordinator, you encounter children that may have dealt with some type of violent crime, whatever it may have been. And that handbook was specifically for those victims, yet survivors, to help them understand better the court process. Okay. So it told them things like the judge, who you would see in the courtroom, like the judge, the deputies, the prosecutors, the defense attorneys, and just get them acclimated to the entire process of what their case would entail, what happens at this process of your case, because they need to know just as well as their parents. They want to understand that entire process. So it was a kid-friendly way to understand that entire court process, because it's a big thing. We can understand it, but you want to put it in a way that children are able to understand that process. And those handbooks were distributed to those children once we encountered them, to help them to understand that process better.
So you were prompted to write the handbook based on your job at the time, or was it something deeper?
Yes, during that time, it was what I've experienced and what I experienced there, and because I worked with young kids, or not even just young kids, they were under the age of 18. I wanted them to know exactly what they would encounter. That it wasn't a scared process. We were there to help them, through that process. Connect them to services that were in the community that they would need because of some of the things that they probably had encountered at such a young age, that they, just to kind of help them through that process. I felt that that was a need, and gladly, the district attorney felt that was a need as well, and accepted that recommendation to install that handbook for those minors.
Yeah. So you're an author.
Well,
Yeah, you can claim that.
yeah.
It may not be, number one on New York's bestseller list or whatever the title is, but yeah, you're an author too.
Yeah, during the time I was working with Boca on a Boca grant, and it's Victims of Crime Act, and they also helped distribute some of those handbooks to some of the other victims assistance programs that were in the state. So hopefully it helped a lot of kids who were experiencing some of those.
How many years have you been working with, I guess, youth? How many years has it been?
Ooh, this year in November would be 24.
24 years.
Yes. So I started off when I graduated, worked shortly at Warren Central High School in the SPED department with Mr. Whitley. Then I started part-time at the Warren County Children's Shelter.
Okay.
And so about 6 months after I graduated with my bachelor's, I was able to get a job at the Vicksburg, it's the Child and Parent Center now, but it was a Vicksburg Child Abuse Prevention Center. So I was there for 12 years, and I was able to work in a lot of different positions as parent aid coordinator, mentoring coordinator, CASA coordinator, which is Court Appointed Special Advocate, advocated for abused and neglected children in that role. And we also, which I don't see a lot of now, but we did teen pregnancy prevention during that time. So there was a lot of talk during that time about abstinence and things that affected youth. So I've, had an opportunity to work with a lot of church groups, individual groups, girls clubs and boys clubs who wanted me to come and speak or find speakers to come in and talk to their youth about some tough topics. And sometimes we have to talk about, the tough topics.
Yeah.
We can't pacify to an extent because
Cannot.
a lot of kids know a whole lot more than we give them credit for.
That's
and
true.
then now we have social media. One thing for us, I know during my time we didn't have social media. We had our, you had your pagers, and then it went into the cell phones, but there was still no social media pages.
Right.
And what they're not learning, at home or at school from their friends, then they're learning a lot from social media. So we need to be more engaged in preparing our kids for those tough topics is one of the things I think we need to go back to.
You mentioned tough topics. You also briefly spoke on, discussing teen pregnancy. Do you think that, what are your thoughts on some of those tough topics that we have gotten away from? Teen pregnancy, I think, is one.
Yes.
It may not be as big of a deal as it was in the past, or I don't know. I think that would be your area of knowledge. But what tough topics would you say, hey, parent, you need to have this conversation with your child?
Even at young ages, they need to have conversation with their children about good touch, bad touch, their own personal body, personal spaces, things like that, to make them so they are more aware of when, if someone that they're not comfortable with, they're okay with talking to a parent and letting them know, hey, this doesn't make me feel comfortable, I'm uncomfortable with this way, so they're able to verbalize that. And I think, just starting there, it will help kids to continue to gain that trust with their parents, so they're able to talk to them about things. And it may not just stop at, good touch, bad touch, your body, but still it will grow into other topics where may talk about friendships, relationships, drugs, substance abuse, things like that we need to continue to make sure that our kids have that information. We do have great agencies here who are very willing to talk to kids about those topics. And one of those agencies, Vicksburg Family Development, they have a substance abuse prevention component that they have with their girls club and their boys club. So those kids are learning about the substance abuse and the dangers of substance abuse, to your health, your mental health, and your well-being. The Youth Leadership Institute through Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated met last couple of months from about February to April at the Youth Development Center, and that age group was 10 to 13, and they had a career fair. And during the career fair, they had the SWAT team from Vicksburg Police Department. They came out and they showed the kids about the dangers of, they have those chips and candies and things that look like, but it may be some type of marijuana or a synthetic drug. They informed them about the dangers of, of eating and engaging in those type things. So you have community-based organizations and departments here who are willing to talk to kids about those things. But I think those are some of the topics that parents may, if they don't feel comfortable themselves having that conversation, but reaching out to Youth Development Center or some other agencies in the, in our community that can help with those discussions.
So I gather through conversation with you today, and then just hearing the title, the Youth Development Center, it's just that it's a center. There are other agencies and entities that you guys refer to.
Yes.
You have partnerships with, you have a network, and anyone that's seeking information for youth, they can start with your organization.
Yes, absolutely.
It may not end with your organization.
Right.
It may branch out to Alpha Kappa Alpha or any other mentoring group or the school district.
Yes, mental health agencies.
Okay.
So it's an array of places in here in our community that people are missing out on, that we want to bring light to, that we do have these places here that can assist. The YMCA, several organizations. AmeriCorps is an organization even for youth over the age of 17 that if you want to engage in their AmeriCorps program, we have that jewel that's sitting right here in our community, and our kids and our youth need to know that they're, if you don't choose college, if you have or career, there are other options, volunteer options that can help you remain grounded, to get you some experience and some different activities or projects, just as well as equip you for life.
How do you analyze the effectiveness, of your organization? Are there statistics out there somewhere? Is there a chart of clientele, or how do you go about saying, okay, year one is in the books or quarter one is in the books, and we've reached these milestones, we've done this, that? How are you all putting that information together? Because I would think that, someone who may be interested in utilizing your services, they may want to know, okay, well, is it working?
Yes. So one of the things right now, we like to celebrate our successes. One of the successes that we have an established model here in Vicksburg and Warren County, and it is the YDC. There aren't a lot of places, or many places, or any places probably at all, that has an established center that you can go to and not either get the runaround, but can go directly to these, be put in place with these services. So right now, building from the ground up, because at one point it was an idea from a good group of people, the mayor, and having the ad hoc group that met and that formulated this idea, or just this idea of, and there's some individuals from United Way that helped with just the idea of what this will look like. So building this from the ground up, our successes will come from the agencies that they're referred out to. We'll, be utilizing surveys, parent surveys, the youth surveys, organization surveys. So we'll be compiling those numbers as those kids are referred out to those programs to gather that data.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
And most of our programs have been in our community for years.
Yeah.
So they've been here, and they're they're not newly established, but we welcome newly established organizations. They can reach out to the YDC and see where they would fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree. There are a lot of establishments that have not been utilized.
Yeah.
Hidden gems, as you say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the YDC is putting it all together.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah. The original idea came from who in particular? Do you?
There
You
were
said it was
a couple of things that started the idea of the YDC. Particularly, we had a young male that was killed here in Warren County, and that started a lot of discussions. I do know that one of the discussions I attended was Ms. Jackson with the Board of Supervisors at Triumph Church, and then the mayor had a town hall meeting with at the City Auditorium, and then from that idea, the group that met at the City Auditorium, Mayor Flags formulated an ad hoc group, and from that ad hoc group, there were members from the community, from some of the community organizations who developed the plan of the YDC. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then I also, I hate that it took something to that extent of someone, losing their lives, but we're here at this point now. And I think that if we continue to we have gotten a lot of community support. As we continue to grow and build, we can get that, just to continue to have that support from the community, from families. I think this would be a great thing for our community.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Before we let you go, I wanted to pick your brain for a second on the youth culture as of today. You mentioned some things that occurred, I think last year, some shootings, some teen violence, gun violence, things of that nature. What are your thoughts on the state of the youth in our community right now?
I'm glad you asked that question, because I thought about that when this morning and when you reached out to do the podcast. I think for our youth culture today, we do have some things that are going on. Prayerfully, we'll be able to help reprogram our youth in the community. But I do want to definitely say that we have more good youth in our community than bad things that are happening. And I think if we highlight more on the great positive things that a lot of our youth are doing, that would bring change as well. I thought about when you brought up a question about what was done, some of the things during my time of growing up. I remember in the newspaper, if you made the honor roll, they listed every child's name that had honor roll or perfect attendance.
Yep.
And attendance is definitely an issue as well here lately. But I think if we highlight those positive things that they're doing, put more emphasis on the good things that they are doing, I think that can overcome some of the bad that most people may think that our city is influenced by, but I think it's more influenced by the good that our youth is doing.
What is the YDC doing to highlight?
To highlight our youth? Well, we have our Youth Advisory Board. So our Youth Advisory Board is doing activities. They just finished their first project, was an ACT empowerment and resume building workshop.
Okay.
So with that workshop, it was a 3-hour free workshop. It was all youth led. They planned. They did all the work that day to help engage the other youth that attended. So just giving them more, from the standpoint of Youth Development Center, giving the youth more of a voice and a chance to learn, build their leadership skills up, and engage with other youth in a positive way. So we're just helping it, and we've had, like I talked about Camp Discovery. In Camp Discovery, they learned about social emotional learning, substance abuse prevention. They had all types of individuals that came from the community that were lunch guests that came in and talk with the youth. Dr. Mabry, which is a motivational speaker, he came in and spoke to those youth. They discovered their community. They went to Jackson State University and discovered out their state on Mississippi Civil Rights Museum. They went there, and their last day for field trip day was Friday, so it was fun days for them.
Yeah.
But they also went to AmeriCorps, and they engaged with kickball and just playing games with them. So, we're doing activities, having events. Tracy Brown, who was our parent liaison, she did a Easter egg hunt, and we had a lot of families to come out, to the Easter egg hunt. So we're continuously working on the parent engagement piece and positive youth development. So that's going to continue. And as we have events, we would like the community to support. And also, I didn't want to, leave out the mentoring component. That is a huge component.
I agree.
To working with our youth and having, even if a child has that one trusting adult who they can have, who they can talk to, that can make a huge impact.
Right.
So the Youth Development Center is having a citywide mentor search. So if people are interested in mentoring, of course you have to pass the background check, and they have an application process, and we'll help with the training of those mentors. And we have several organizations in our community that has mentor programs, and you can decide which program that you would like to mentor. So we're excited about that piece as well.
Gotcha. Okay. It's been an interesting conversation with you. I do want to tell you again, thank you for being here. Are there any closing remarks, any final words, anything you want to give the public before we wrap the session up?
No, I'd say yes. Just to continue to support the Youth Development Center, support our youth, and support the people and the individuals that are pouring into our youth and into our community to make it a better place for all of us. So we just ask for your continued support on that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching, all of our followers, listeners. This has been another episode of VTV the Podcast. I'm your host, James Dixon, here with Ms. Susie Calbort, Executive Director of the Vicksburg Youth Development Center. Y'all take care. See you next time.